Hey, it's April with The Possible Diet, and today I'm going to show you how to make reduced carb apple crisp with zucchini. So this is also like a hidden veggies video. If you're one of those people who likes to hide veggies and things like me. For this recipe, you're going to need 2 cups of chopped peeled zucchini. That's, about like 3 zucchinis this size. And 2 cups of chopped fresh Granny Smith apples. That's like 2 big apples or sort of like 2.5 little ones. So equal parts of zucchini and apples. You have to peel them so that you can't, you don't have to peel them. You could just leave the skins on the zucchini on and be like, yeah, it's zucchini apple crisp, and see how many people dig in. But the way to hide it is to peel them. So I peel them. This is a recipe that's based kind of on the principle that with enough cinnamon and lemon juice, everything tastes like baked apples because they don't really have much flavor. I've actually had delicious fresh apple pie made from apples from someone's tree, and I can verify that those taste like apples. But for most people, baked apples don't really taste like anything. There's even a recipe floating around from when I was a kid for a faux apple pie made with RITZ crackers, which is ridiculously high carb and disgusting. So I'm not going to try that. Instead, I'm going to try this. And the topping is made with golden monk fruit and almonds, almond flour. So that is equally low carb. So this is going to be better for you if you're struggling or pre-diabetic, or you're just trying to reduce your carbs or reduce your sugar intake than traditional apple crisp. And if you watched my video from last week, you can have it with reduced carb vanilla ice cream, and it's delicious. I think I'm gonna have some later. So I'll meet you back here when I've peeled these, and what we're gonna do is saute them in butter and additional monk fruit until they're soft, and then we're going to put it in the pan, put the topping on the pan, and then bake it in the oven to finish up. So I'll see you in 5. Okay, so our zucchini and our apples are all diced up. You can tell from a distance, it's hard to tell the difference between a piece of apple and a piece of zucchini unless you look real close. And I promise this tastes good. I promise you won't be disappointed. You do have to add quite a bit of sugar substitute. There's about a 1/2 cup of monk fruit sweetener in this. So what you do is dice these babies up, add about a 1/2 cup. I just use the regular because it dissolves faster than the golden, and then I use the golden in the topping because it's chunkier and crystallier. It just bakes better. And the reason why we pre-cook the zucchini and the apple is because the topping browns up really fast. Nuts toast faster than flour. And so that's why you kind of pre-cook this a little bit. You kind of half cook it, put it in the pan, put it on the topping, and then finish it in the oven. So just toss that, cook this over like medium-high heat, just until the zucchini and the apples have softened. Now we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of lemon juice. I just use bottled lemon juice. If you happen to have fresh lemon juice, feel free, but don't feel like you have to. A 1/3 cup. And then I use a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. This is a 1/2 measure. So not quite like 2 teaspoons, but like 1.25 teaspoons heaping teaspoon. I like it real cinnamony. And then one thing I found adds to this is I add just like barely like 1/8 of a teaspoon of cardamom. It gives it like a little something. And then a generous pinch of mace. If you like nutmeg, feel free to add more nutmeg. I am not a super fan of nutmeg. If you've watched my Morning Glory muffins recipe video, you know why. Basically, I just added too much to a recipe and I was like broke, so I had to eat everything that I baked. I couldn't just like throw it away. And now I'm like, too much nutmeg, just a little is too much for me. So I use mace instead, which is very close to nutmeg. All right, we're just gonna cook this down until most of the liquid has evaporated and it's really kind of like soft and jammy. So I will see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, our zucchini and apples have softened up. The apples are gonna break down. It's gonna look soupy for a long time, but then all of a sudden the apples are gonna start breaking down and the pectin's gonna release, and then it's gonna start making that sound like it's frying. Just like that. And then once it starts making that sound and the apples start getting a little bit mushy, but the zucchini is still like a little bit firm, now you wanna turn it off, give it a stir. I add just a few pinches of salt. Salt brings out the flavor. It's optional if you don't want it. And now what you've got is kind of like this apple mash with chunks of zucchini. Put that in a pan, like so. Ooh, it smells deliciously cinnamony. You could use a small pan if you got it, but you want this to be like kind of an inch high, maybe a little more in the pan. Now we're gonna make our topping. I have here 4 tablespoons of melted butter. We're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of almond flour and 1/4 cup of golden monk fruit. Add a teaspoon of cinnamon. It gets kind of clumpy like that. So then I add a 1/2 cup of chopped nuts. This is optional. I just like that it adds a different bit of a dimension, so I use either walnuts or pecans, whatever I happen to have. So from here on out, I'm going to use a fork. And then just to absorb some of the moisture, I add a tablespoon of golden flaxseed meal. It doesn't really add much flavor because it's already very nutty, but I've tried it without it and it's not quite the same. It's just kind of like goopy without it. So mix that up until it's a crumble and then sprinkle it on the top of your apple zucchini mixture. So it's gonna look like that. You don't want to press it in, you want it to have some dimension. And then just bake this for 10 to 15 minutes until the top is golden brown. Every oven is different, and depending on the size of pan you use, you just want to keep an eye on it. I'll show you what it should look like when it's done. All right, our apple cobbler with hidden zucchini is ready. And there you have it. Delicious, healthy, good for you, and you wouldn't even know that there's veggies in there. I'm gonna let this cool and firm up, and then I'm gonna have it with a nice scoop of low-carb ice cream. Enjoy. All right, now I'm ready for some delicious faux apple cobbler with homemade low-carb ice cream. Now, can you tell that's zucchini? I can tell that's zucchini. And look at this ice cream. Creamy, soft. I just took this out of the freezer. It hasn't even had a chance to like soften. Ta-da! Doesn't that look amazing? Enjoy.